Okay, so today we're going to go ahead and start with the first set of notes. This is everything for geometry and geometric and spatial reasoning. So we're going to start with question 11, and it says Tom bought a gallon of water. Which metric unit is closest to 1 gallon? Use 1 quart equals 0.95 liters. So this right here is my conversion unit. So I have 1 over 0.95. That is my quarts over liters. Next, we need to know how many quarts are in a gallon. Well, there are 4 quarts in a gallon. Using this conversion rate, I still have to put my quarts on top because I have quarts over liters. So I need to do quarts over liters. Well, I don't know what my liters is for 1 gallon, so I'm going to put an X right there. Now at this point, what I do is I just cross multiply and solve. When I cross multiply, I get 1 times X, so that gives me 1X. And then when I do 0.95 times 4, I get 3.80. Well, then to get rid of my 1, I just divide by 1, and I get X equals 3.8 liters. Well, out of all of these we look through, 1 liter is not close enough to 3.8 liters. 2 liters, still not close enough. 3 liters is 0.8 liters away, but 4 liters is only 0.2 liters away. So my answer is 4 liters. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause right here and go and finish all the other questions on this page. Okay, now for the second part, we are finding perimeter area, surface area, and volume. Okay, what is involved with this also means working with formulas and solving for different variables. So here they gave me a formula of volume equals pi r squared h. This right here is my formula for volume of a cylinder. They want me to solve for r. So I'm going to take v equals pi r squared h. To get my r squared completely by itself, I'm going to divide everything by pi h. When I do that, I get v over pi h equals r squared. Well, now we have to do the opposite of a square, so we square root both sides. When we square root both sides, we get r equals the square root of v over pi h. When we do this, that means that this right here is my answer. So my answer is B. Okay, go ahead and pause and finish up the rest of the problems on this page. Now we're going to look at transformations to investigate congruence, similarity, and symmetry. When we're looking at this, we have looked at this before, but we only looked at triangles. So now we're going to look at it again, but this time we're going to look at it with any shape. So on this one, it first says, if MJKL is congruent to UVWX, then blank. Well, let's go through each of these problems and let's see which one is correct. So it says ML is congruent to UV. So let's look. So ML right here is congruent to UV. Well, just looking at it, I don't believe that that's the case. But we can even go back and look at our problems here. So this says ML, which is my first letter and my last letter, goes with UV, which is my first and second letter. That does not work because these are going to be in congruent order, meaning that my M is going to go with my U, my V will go with my J, my W will go with my K, and X will go with L. So now let's go and look at the next one. It says JK is congruent to VW. Well, let's check. So we've got, let's do a different color actually, VW right here and JK. Okay, those look pretty good, but let's check the list right here. So we have JK and VW. All right, my second and third on each. So far that one's okay. But let's go through and let's check some of the other problems. We have MJ is congruent to WX. So we have MJ and WX. Again, those don't look exactly right, but let's check the display up here. So we have MJ is my first and second, and then WX, that's my third and fourth. So that one does not work either. Okay, and let's go ahead and check the last part. UX is congruent to JK. So we have UX is congruent to JK. Well, we already saw JK and VW go together. So I don't think if we do JK right here and UX, yeah, those aren't going to go together. So my answer here is JK is congruent to VW. Okay, go ahead and pause here and start working on the next bit of problems. For this set, we're going to be looking at right triangle relationships and basic trigonometry. First up, Pythagorean theorem. We have to remember Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So for this first problem, it says, for this triangle, which statement demonstrates the Pythagorean property? This is basically saying, which formula follows Pythagorean theorem? Well, Pythagorean theorem says my two legs squared add up to equal my hypotenuse squared. So if we look, that one's correct. But then right here, that is my hypotenuse, not my legs. So that does not work. Okay, let's check the next one. We have r squared, which is a leg. That's good. S squared. That's good. T squared. That's good. Okay, so right now this one's okay. This one doesn't even have any squares. So definitely not that one. And again, this one doesn't have any squares. So definitely not that one. So my answer would be B. Okay, go ahead and finish up this page with Pythagorean theorem. On this page, we're going to be working on my basic trig functions. So we have to remember SOHCAHTOA. This is sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent equals opposite over adjacent. And you have to remember that your angle goes inside with your trig function. So your angle goes right in there. So for this first question, it says express sine of A as a ratio of the variables given in triangle ABC. So if we look, we're looking at this angle right here. Since we're looking at this angle, and we're specifically looking at sine, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Well, from my angle, I draw a line directly across the shape. When I draw that, this right here is my opposite side of my angle. Then my hypotenuse is always the longest side of the triangle. So B right here is my hypotenuse. So my sine ratio here, we do opposite over hypotenuse, so that is A over B. So it's definitely not A because that's A over C. B so far looks good. B over A, that's in reverse order. And C over B, we're missing our A. So B is my correct answer here. So go ahead and finish up the rest of this packet, and we will go over probability and statistics tomorrow.